Most people focus on the moment cultural adoption happens. The viral post, the celebrity endorsement, the mainstream headline, the sudden explosion in value. But the real story doesn't start there. It starts the day after. Today, we're looking at what really happens after a collectible becomes culturally adopted. When attention fades, reality sets in, and long-term consequences quietly begin. Because cultural adoption feels like validation. It feels like victory. It feels like the moment collectors were waiting for. But what happens once the world is watching? Let's start with the moment everyone remembers. The moment a niche collectible crosses into mainstream culture. A trading card appears in a Netflix documentary. A sneaker collaboration hits the fashion runways. A vintage comic becomes a headline auction record. A childhood toy becomes a TikTok trend. Suddenly, everyone knows about it. It feels exciting, it feels validating, it feels deserved. Collectors think, finally, people get it. This proves it was undervalued. This is just the beginning. Prices rise, search volume spikes, new buyers enter the market. And at the time, this decision to buy, to hold, to double down made perfect sense. Because cultural attention looks like permanent importance. But attention and permanence are not the same thing. The day after, things still look fine. In fact, they often look better than fine. Auction results confirm rising prices. More influencers talk about the category. Media outlets validate its relevance. Grading submissions increase. There's reassurance everywhere. Collectors feel smarter. Investors feel early. Communities feel validated. It doesn't feel speculative. It feels inevitable. And this is important. There's no judgment here. Cultural adoption isn't fake. It's real. The demand exists. The energy exists. The buyers are real. But the structure underneath is beginning to change. And most people don't notice it yet. This is where the invisible shifts begin. Cultural adoption changes who participates. Before adoption, collectors dominate. After adoption, speculators enter, flippers multiply. Content creators chase trends. Short-term capital floods in. Behavior shifts subtly. People buy faster, they hold shorter. They prioritize hype over condition. They focus on liquidity instead of legacy. Small compromises begin. This print run is high, but it doesn't matter. This reissue is close enough. This trend will last. Supply increases because producers respond to demand. Reprints happen, variants multiply, collaborations expand. The original scarcity that made the item special begins to dilute. Not immediately, but gradually. Community tone shifts too. Conversations move from history and craftsmanship to charts and price tracking. This is the critical transition. The collectible is no longer just culturally significant. It becomes financially optimized. And that changes everything. The consequences don't arrive loudly, they arrive slowly. Months later, price growth slows, liquidity tightens, the hype cycle cools, search trends normalize, nothing dramatic happens, there is no crash headline, no catastrophic event. But speculators exit quietly, long-term collectors feel fatigue, oversupply becomes visible. What felt like unstoppable growth now feels flat. And that flatness surprises people, but nothing broke overnight. The seeds were planted the day cultural adoption shifted participation dynamics. Compounding takes time, in both directions. Most people don't ignore problems, they simply don't see them yet. There are powerful psychological reasons for this. Cognitive bias. When something becomes culturally validated, we assume permanence. Overconfidence. If celebrities are involved, it must be sustainable. Process blindness. We see price changes but not structural shifts in buyer behavior. Emotional investment. Collectors want their niche to be respected. Organizational inertia. Producers continue increasing supply because demand signals were strong months ago. None of this is irrational. It's human. Cultural adoption feels like arrival, but sometimes it's actually transition. Experienced collectors don't judge a collectible by the moment it becomes popular. They watch what happens after. They ask, who is buying now? Is this community expanding or rotating? Is supply increasing faster than demand? Has the narrative shifted from passion to profit? They monitor, Time on market trends, liquidity stability, grading population growth, production decisions by manufacturers. They expect behavior to change, and they prepare for it. They don't panic during hype. They don't panic during cooling. They understand cycles. And most importantly, they separate cultural validation from long-term structural health. Because not every adopted collectible becomes timeless. Some become seasonal. The lesson isn't don't celebrate cultural adoption. The lesson is plan for the day after. When a collectible becomes culturally adopted, ask what changes now that more people are watching. Instead of, this is huge, try, what does this attention attract? One mindset shift. Cultural adoption is not the finish line. It's a stress test. The real question isn't, is this popular? It's, is this resilient once popularity stabilizes? If you ask that question early, you don't get surprised later. Most collectibles don't peak the moment they're adopted into culture. They change the moment after. The future of a collectible isn't decided when it goes viral. It's decided when the hype cools. If this changed how you think about cultural adoption, that's the goal. This is the day after. And next week, we'll explore what happens after a record-breaking auction sale. Until then, stay curious and explore the deeper stories behind collecting here on Collectiblepedia. Because the real story always starts the day after.